You know that feeling when a new phone drops and like suddenly everyone's talking about it?
Yeah.
That was absolutely the vibe around a certain device this year. The buzz was huge, especially, after how well the previous model landed.
It really captured people's attention, didn't it?
Totally. And the phone everyone's been dissecting is the nothing CMF Phone 2 Pro.
Mhm.
We've been putting it through its paces to see what all the fuss is about.
We really have been exploring every nook and cranny, you could say.
So what makes this phone tick differently? Let's start with the first thing you notice, how it looks and feels, when you pick it up.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack this. Holding it next to the original CMF phone, the first thing is it's subtly more refined. We're talking about a phone that's maybe 5% thinner and about 5% lighter, too. Now, that might not sound like a huge change on paper.
Right.
But in daily use, it just feels, more comfortable in the hand, less likely to cause fatigue during those long doom scrolling sessions.
And that slightly more curved back, I found that really nestled nicely in my palm. Felt good.
Exactly. It just feels more, integrated when you're holding it. Then there's that essential key on the side.
Ah, yes.
It's a really distinctive element, kind of stands out.
It does, almost like a signature touch. For anyone who hasn't seen it, what exactly does this button do?
So it's designed for quick actions. A single press takes a screenshot and immediately lets you jot down a note, hold it, and it still grabs a screenshot but then opens up voice command. And a double tap that whisks you away to what they're calling essential space.
Which we'll definitely circle back to.
Yeah.
But sticking with the design for a moment, the finish varies depending on the color you choose, right?
That's right. The green and black models, they sort of aim for a glass-like look.
Sort of.
Yeah, but the reality is they feel more, in line with other phones in this price bracket, a bit more plasticky, maybe.
Okay.
Interestingly, the orange version seems to have nailed the look and feel better. It just feels a bit more premium.
Good tip if you're eyeing a particular color. Now, a key talking point of the original CMF phone was its modular design, that replaceable back. How has that evolved in the 2 Pro?
Right. Here's where things get interesting and might ruffle a few feathers of the original fans.
Oh.
The back panel on the 2 Pro is now glued on. You still see the screws, which keeps that design look.
Right, the aesthetic.
Exactly. But they're no longer functional for easily swapping the entire back.
Okay, so what's the upside? Why make that change?
Well, the main advantages are a slimmer design, which we mentioned, and improved protection against, water and dust. It's gone from an IP52 rating to IP54.
Which means?
Think of it this way. It's now resistant to splashes from any direction. And it can even handle being in shallow water, like up to 25 centimeters for 20 minutes or so. That's a definite step up in durability. Less panic in the rain.
Okay, that's a tangible benefit. But the trade-off is losing that easy back replacement.
Precisely. With the first phone, if you cracked the back or damaged the sides, it was a pretty simple, affordable fix. You could almost use it without a case comfortably.
Yeah.
Now, with a glued back, well, the equation changes. You're probably more likely to feel you need a case to protect it.
Which leads us neatly to the new accessories. They've introduced some rather innovative additions, haven't they?
They have, yeah. Let's start with the wallet and stand combo. It's a neat little 2-for-1 idea.
It says it holds 3 cards, but you found it works best with 2.
Realistically, yes. 2 cards fit comfortably. 3 feels a bit tight. And while it does prop the phone up as a stand, which is handy, it's not quite as adaptable as, say, a dedicated case stand. Your options for viewing angle and orientation are a bit limited.
Okay. And then the lenses.
Ah, yes. The interchangeable lenses, a fisheye, and a macro. These are genuinely exciting, I think.
Transformative, almost.
Yeah.
Tell us more about what they actually do.
Well, what's fascinating is how they've integrated these. The fisheye lens attaches to the main camera.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it gives it an ultra-wide field of view, similar to a dedicated ultra-wide lens, but you get the better image quality from that main sensor.
Okay, but is there a downside?
The slight trade-off is some softness around the edges of the image. It's noticeable if you look closely.
And the macro lens, what does that bring to the table? Often those are kind of gimmicky.
This one is genuinely impressive, actually. It lets the main camera focus incredibly close on subjects, capturing really detailed close-up shots. It's a huge step up from the often low-quality, low-res macro cameras you find on budget phones.
Okay, that sounds promising. Now, to actually use these lenses, you need another accessory, right? The universal cover.
Yes, that's the linchpin. The universal cover provides the necessary mounting mechanism for attaching the lenses. It also has the magnets that the new wallet stand clicks onto.
So if you want to tap into this new modularity, the lenses, the wallet, you're essentially committing to having this cover on your phone all the time.
Exactly. You have to unscrew the standard back, attach the universal cover, and then screw it back in. It's not a quick swap you do like on the go.
Right.
So the reality is, if you're interested in the lens system or that magnetic wallet stand, you'll probably just keep the universal cover on permanently, which, yeah, it does add a bit of bulk back to the phone, kind of negating that thinness advantage.
Interesting trade-off again. And what about the other new bits, the lanyard and the earbuds?
The lanyard looks very similar to the previous one, still quite substantial, almost rugged in its feel. As for the earbuds, there are two new sets, the Buds 2 and the Buds 2 Plus.
Okay.
The standard Buds 2 are surprisingly good value. They're about $39. They feel a bit plasticky, maybe.
Not expected at that price.
Yeah, but the sound quality is excellent, really punchy bass, clear audio, explosive almost. The active noise cancellation isn't, top tier, but it works. And you get useful features like auto pause and responsive touch controls. I'd give them a solid 9.5 out of 10.
Wow, high marks for budget buds and the Buds 2 Plus. What's the difference there?
For the Buds 2 Plus, they cost a little more, $49. They offer a slight upgrade across the board. They have a smoother texture, a nice little metal dimple accent, marginally better sound, slightly better noise cancellation. But the real standout is their incredible battery life. We're talking over 60 hours with the case. 61.5, I think.
60. That's huge.
It really is. So they also earn a 9.5 out of 10 from me. Great options.
That kind of battery life is certainly appealing. Now, there's some good news for owners of the original CMF phone regarding accessories, isn't there?
Absolutely. Good news indeed, because they've kept the screw positions the same.
Smart.
Yeah. The new CMF Phone 2 Pro is fully compatible with the older phone's screw-on accessories. So if you have the original stand or the wallet or that lanyard, you can still use them with the new phone. No problem.
That's a thoughtful touch.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift focus. The display. What can you tell us about the screen on the CMF Phone 2 Pro?
Right, the display. It features a large 6.77-inch AMOLED panel, and the first thing that strikes you, visually, is the perfectly even borders all around the screen.
Oh, nice. That's an improvement.
It really is. A noticeable improvement over the previous generation. Consistency is good.
Definitely. What about the technical details, the specs?
It supports 1 billion colors, which is great, boasts a smooth 120 hertz refresh rate, and it's adaptive, so it can scale down to 90, 60, even 30 hertz to save battery.
Okay.
Plus, it's HDR10 Plus certified, so you get better colors and contrast with compatible video content. The advertised brightness figures are quite high, too. 800 nits typical, 1,300 nits HBM, and a peak of 3,000 nits.
3,000. Wow. And did your testing back those numbers up that it get that bright?
Well, in our tests, we measured a maximum manual brightness of 702 nits.
Okay.
And a peak of 1,255 nits in automatic mode, like under bright sunlight. So while it didn't quite hit that advertised 3,000 peak...
Still very bright.
Exactly. It's still a very bright display, especially for a phone in this price range. Makes it very usable even in direct sunlight. No issues there.
Good to know for outdoor use. Any other display highlights we should mention?
Yeah, a couple more things. It supports 10-bit color, which is an upgrade, allowing for richer, more accurate colors. There are 2 color modes. A vibrant alive mode for DCI-T3, and a more color-accurate standard mode for sRGB stuff.
Gotcha.
And it also has Widevine L1 DRM protection, essential for streaming HD video from Netflix, Prime Video, all those.
Right. What about that adaptive refresh rate system? How well does it actually work? Does it feel smooth? Does it save battery?
It offers 3 modes. One just locks it at 60 hertz. The other 2 automatic modes behave pretty similarly, actually. They generally favor a smoother 90 hertz refresh rate most of the time.
Not 120.
It hits 120 hertz when you're scrolling fast, but seems to settle at 90 hertz a lot. Interestingly, we never actually saw it drop to the advertised 30 hertz for static content in our testing. It tends to switch down to 60 hertz when the screen is idle or when you're playing video. It's a decent system, balances fluidity and battery pretty well. Though, one thing we noticed, many games still seem to be capped at 60 hertz, regardless of the display settings.
Okay. A common limitation. And lastly, on the display, always-on functionality. Is that finally included?
Yes. Always-on display is now a feature, which was missing from the original. Good addition.
But, I sense a but.
Well, it's quite basic. It just shows a clock and notification icons. There aren't really any options for customization. It's a start, but other phones offer much more tailored, always-on experiences.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on to performance and software. This is often where you really see how a phone operates day to day. What's your experience been like with the CMF Phone 2 Pro?
The software experience is surprisingly fluid. It runs Nothing OS 3.2, which is built on top of Android 15.
Latest stuff.
Yep. And the optimization is so good that the phone often feels like it belongs in a higher price tier. It's really smooth.
So it punches above its weight.
In terms of feel, definitely. The occasional slightly longer app loading time is maybe the main hint that it's actually a mid-range device, but generally, very smooth.
And what's powering this smooth operation?
The
What's under the hood?
The base model comes with 8 GB of RAM and the MediaTek Dimensity 7300 Pro chip. Now, this chip offers a modest upgrade over the previous Dimensity 7300.
How modest.
Like around 5 to 10% faster CPU performance and maybe a 5% bump in graphics. It's a 4-nanometer chip, quite efficient. It's certainly capable enough for most mobile games, at least on medium settings.
Okay.
But really, the excellent software optimization is the key ingredient here. That's what makes the overall experience feel so refined, despite the mid-range chip.
But what about long-term software support? Are they promising updates?
Yes. Nothing is committing to 3 major OS updates, which is pretty solid for a phone in this category. Good longevity there.
Definitely. What are some of the notable new software features they've added?
There are a few interesting additions. You can now customize the widgets on your lock screen, which is nice. And there's a new smart app drawer that automatically categorizes your apps.
No use.
Yeah, and it includes a secure private space for sensitive apps and files. And they've also expanded the functionality of that essential key we talked about with something called Essential Space.
Right, the double tap function.
Yeah.
Tell us more about this essential space. What's the core idea there?
The concept is basically to have a central hub for saving and quickly accessing important info and reminders from various apps.
Okay, like notes and stuff.
Yeah, notes, screenshots, links. It even tries to use AI to understand the content you capture, like say you take a photo of a business card and help you organize it.
Sounds potentially useful.
Potentially, yes. But in its current form, it feels a bit clunky. And the AI-powered organization isn't entirely reliable just yet. It feels like a promising feature that just needs more refinement to be truly useful day to day. Still needs some work.
Definitely sounds like something that could evolve over time with software updates. Okay, let's shift gears and talk cameras. The original CMF phone had a decent camera setup for its price, but it sounds like they've really upped their game here.
They have indeed. Big upgrades. The main 50MP camera, it still has the same resolution, but it now boasts a substantially larger sensor.
I know, man.
The result is immediately noticeable. You get brighter, sharper photos with more natural depth of field, more background blur. And crucially, its low-light performance is much, much better, closer to what you'd expect from more expensive phones. It's a significant improvement.
A tangible upgrade, then. What about the other lenses? What's changed there?
Well, the old depth sensing camera is gone. It's been replaced with a new 8MP ultra-wide lens.
Okay, how is it?
Its performance is pretty much on par with other ultra-wides in this price range. It gets the job done, captures those wider scenes, but it's not, a standout performer. It's fine.
Fair enough. But there's something else new, right?
Yes. The really exciting addition is a brand new 50MP telephoto camera with 2x optical zoom.
A proper telephoto.
Yeah.
That is a big deal at this price.
It really is. This is a major step forward. It provides much better zoom capabilities, obviously, but also noticeably improves portrait mode quality using that longer focal length. Big improvement there.
So overall, more versatility and better image quality across different shooting scenarios. Seems like it.
For the most part, yes. There are still some limitations, of course, because it lacks optical image stabilization, OIS.
Oh. Yeah.
You might encounter occasional shakiness, especially in video, or maybe some blur in lower light if you're not steady. And the image processing, while improved, isn't as sophisticated as what you'd find on top-tier flagship phones.
Meaning?
It can sometimes get the exposure slightly wrong in tricky lighting, maybe a bit overexposed or underexposed, but still, considering the price point, the overall camera system is remarkably capable this time around. Very impressive.
Good stuff. What about battery life? The original was already pretty good in that department. How does the 2 Pro compare?
Right, the battery capacity is actually the same. Still a generous 5,000 milliamp, but thanks to that more efficient display and better software optimization, the battery life is genuinely stellar. Like, really, really good.
How good are we talking?
We're consistently seeing around 7.5 hours of screen on time, even with pretty heavy use. Later users could easily stretch it to 2 full days between charges.
Wow.
Our intensive active use score test clocked in at over 14 hours, and it showed excellent endurance for both calls and streaming video specifically. It just sips power.
Those are seriously impressive figures. Are there any battery care features included to help maintain that health long term?
Yes, there are several useful options baked in. You can limit the maximum charge to 90%, which can help prolong the battery's lifespan. There's scheduled charging, so it finishes charging just before you wake up. And a sleep standby optimization mode that intelligently reduces background activity overnight to minimize drain while you sleep.
Good features. And charging speed. It supports 33W wired charging, but no wireless option, correct?
That's correct. 33W, wired. No wireless. And like many phones now, you don't get a charger in the box, so you'll need to use your own or buy one.
Right. How fast does it actually charge with a compatible charger?
We tested the charging speeds using a powerful 65W power delivery charger. We saw it peak at around 26W, but it mostly hovered around 20W during the cycle.
So not the full 33W consistently.
Not quite. Seemed to manage the power curve. In terms of speed, it's not the fastest charging you'll find in this segment. A full charge took about 1 hour and 25 minutes.
And partial charges?
You can get to about 24% in 15 minutes and just under 50%, 46% in half an hour. So it's reasonably quick for top-ups, just not lightning fast for a full charge compared to some competitors.
Okay, so exceptional battery life, even if the charging isn't the absolute quickest.
Got it.
Wow. What about the speaker? It's just a single bottom-firing unit, right? No stereo.
Yes, that's right. It's a mono speaker located at the bottom of the phone. In our loudness tests, it scored a good rating, which is actually a slight improvement over the previous model. It gets reasonably loud.
And the sound quality itself?
Well, the audio quality offers clear midtones, so voices and videos or podcasts sound fine. And the high frequencies are decent too. But the bass is noticeably lacking. Almost non-existent, really. Even more so than on the original CMF phone, maybe?
A bit weak on the low end, then. But there's a new ultra volume feature. What's that all about? Sounds potentially dangerous for the speaker.
Yeah, there is. This feature lets you boost the volume by up to 50% beyond the standard maximum level.
Really?
Yep. The company states that it shouldn't damage the speaker if you don't use it excessively. And it does make a significant difference when you really need to hear something in a noisy environment, like GPS directions in a loud car.
Interesting for those specific situations. Okay, finally, let's quickly run through the connectivity options, the nuts and bolts.
Sure. It's a dual SIM phone using nano SIMs with support for the latest 5G networks, both SA and NSA sub-6. The second SIM slot is a hybrid one, meaning you can choose between using a second SIM card or a micro SD card for expanding the storage. And you can go up to a massive 2 TB with the micro SD card.
Wow, okay. No eSIM, though.
No eSIM support, no. For location services, it includes all the major systems: GPS, Galileo, GLONASS, BDS, QZSS, you're covered there.
Local stuff, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth.
For local connectivity, you get fast dual-band Wi-Fi 6 and efficient Bluetooth 5.3 with LE support. NFC is included for contactless payments, though, as always, availability can vary depending on your market or region.
What's missing? Headphone jack.
Correct. You won't find a traditional 3.5mm headphone jack or an FM radio tuner. The USB-C port uses the older USB 2.0 standard, so data transfer speeds are capped at 480 mLPs. It does support OTG Ghost for connecting accessories like USD drives, but no video output.
And sensors.
It's equipped with a full suite of standard sensors: accelerometer, gyroscope, magnetometer, compass, light sensor, proximity sensor. Pretty standard stuff, though it lacks a barometer for measuring atmospheric pressure or altitude changes.
Okay, comprehensive rundown. So we've covered a huge amount of ground here. Looking at the CMF Phone 2 Pro as a complete package, wrapping things up, what are the key things that stand out? What's the main story?
I think the overwhelming takeaway is that this phone delivers a really substantial upgrade in the core smartphone experience compared to the first one. The display is better, the cameras are significantly improved, especially that telephoto edition.
Yeah.
The performance feels smoother in daily use, and the battery life is truly exceptional, all while keeping the price point very competitive. It makes it a highly compelling option in its category, very recommendable.
And what about that evolving approach to modular accessories? How does that fit into the picture now?
Yeah, that's the interesting counterpoint. While the new accessories like the interchangeable lenses and the magnetic wallet stand are, interesting ideas, the necessity of using that universal cover makes the whole system feel a little less integrated and seamless than the original's simple screw-on design. If you want to take advantage of these new features, you're likely committing to a slightly bulkier phone because you'll probably just leave that cover on.
So a more refined and capable core smartphone experience, definitely, but maybe with some intriguing, though perhaps less elegantly integrated, modular additions this time around.
Precisely. That sums it up well. And this, I think, leads to a really interesting question about this whole product line, doesn't it? As it matures, will it maintain that unique, somewhat experimental, maybe slightly quirky spirit of its original design?
Right.
Or is it inevitably evolving towards a more conventional, mainstream smartphone approach to broaden its appeal? It really makes you think about what you personally prioritize most when you're choosing a phone these days.